trying.
Silence, or you'll be held in contempt of this court.
I have nothing but contempt for this court.
Welcome back to the Tide Gear Hanger. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with the Studio Series Hot Rod, Studio Series 86. This is probably the best hot rod that's been put out by Hasbro. No, it is definitely the best hot rod put out by Hasbro. They've recently put out the Titan Returns a few years back. We've also seen Power of the Primes recently came out with that one. Yes, there's a hot rod in there. This one blows all of those other options out of the water. We're going to talk about this coming up. Here it is in the packaging. I think the packaging looks good. You've got that Transformers the movie symbol on the top with a window on the top. Lots of plastic in this. They're supposed to be getting away from plastic, but they're letting it in this Studio Series just fine. There's the side of it. If you want to line them up on your shelf, you know which character's which. There's the back showing both modes. But most importantly, this is the packaging that you want if you're looking for the best hot rod.
If you're gonna ride, Dano, ride in style.
So here it is in its alt mode. And I gotta say, the alt mode looks pretty decent. It's a pretty solid alt mode considering the $30 price point, considering the fact that it is more of an advanced design. It looks really good. You don't have the 5mm ports. You do have a couple of ports here and here that you can put your guns in. They do it a little bit different, but overall, nice looking vehicle mode. Really nice. And from the back a little bit, you can see his knees, and there's the bottom of them and stuff. Now they do use faux parts, which I'm perfectly fine with, because if that's what it takes to get an almost perfect representation of your character, then that's great. It actually rolls really well, which I was kind of surprised to see that it rolled well. But let's have a look at some of the accessories. So here it is. This is kind of cool how you can put the guns either right here, or you can double them up and put them right there in the front, however you would like to do that, and that works really well. Also, it has these blast effects that double as flames for the back of the car, which is really cool. And that is just kind of something I really like, the blast effects they do these days. And I also like this double use of the blast effect. I at first thought, like, why is the blast effect so big? Now I see why, and that looks really cool. If you really want to, you can actually clip this to the guns and have that on there too. But I think that looks really silly. I don't know why you'd want that, but hey, it's incorporating in the alt mode, it's weapon storage. All right, so let's go ahead and do a quick size comparison here. And he looks okay with some of these older ones. Now these aren't from Siege, whatever. These are way older than that. And I like to use these because this is back when they were bigger. Like we kind of saw size shrink in Siege and Earthrise, now with Kingdom, and they're all in scale with each other nowadays theoretically. But you can kind of look at the aesthetic and you can kind of look at the size, and I still think he looks okay. I think the older versions of Hot Rod were much bigger than this guy. Here's how he stacks up design-wise next to the Masterpiece Hot Rod, and I still think the Masterpiece Hot Rod wins in design. And a lot of people say, well, why do you compare a mainline $30 figure to a Masterpiece? Well, I only paid $30, he's a KO. I only paid $30 for him anyway, but paid the same price for these guys. This guy does look better in alt mode, but I gotta say, bot mode might be a different story. And looking at these two side by side, he still looks really good. And here he's next to RC, and this is the RC from, this is the oversized one from the 30th anniversary. But if you can see design-wise, I still think that this is the best looking alt mode that Hasbro's even ever put out. So that's why I want to put it next to it. All right, so let's go ahead and get this guy transformed up. The first thing we want to do is start untabbing some stuff. So we do need to untab right here where the arms are tabbed into the leg part, and then we need to kind of separate that out a bit. We are going to disconnect all of this, and we need to lift this back piece up. So once we have this back piece lifted up, let's get some room here. Then, as you can see, this is all faux parts and pieces. I'm going to lift his head out of there right now. Lift that up. We got to move these pieces inside here. Which, these faux parts, it's really cool how they did that. I really like the way they did that. That's like next level in my opinion. And then we're going to need to fold all of this in. Let's go ahead and get his arms moved up out of the way and got to rotate. Then we rotate this here. And then we put it into place. Just like so. And we got his upper body done. We do need to work on his hands a little bit. So with this here, you don't have to have his hand out to do the transformation. But anyway, flip this around, put that in, and then we've got to get rid of this faux piece and then fold it down into here. Now this will tab in and connect really well and hold his arm together. Same thing on the other side. We're going to need to flip this around and put that into there. And we got his arms done. Now we need to work on the legs. From here you need to separate all of these parts here, lift up his back, flip it around, and put that one up there. Now what we need to do is we need to open up these legs. So it works best to kind of move them to the side a bit, and then you're going to pull this apart like so, pull the leg down and fold it. Okay, you're going to fold this in and then fold all that in and bring the foot out. Oh, sorry, bring the foot out, then fold it all in, and then it all fits in there nice. Do the other side. We need to open this up, fold this down, take the foot out, fold this in, and then this in, and rotate the waist. There we go. It's a pretty involved transformation for the main line, but I see a lot of masterpiece elements in it, and I really like what I'm seeing there. Alright, so here he is in his robot mode, and he looks really good. This is an excellent looking figure. The face looks just right. It looks exactly like you'd expect for a hot rod face to look. I like the chest. Flame looks good. The faux chest, that's really how you get it to work. I like the paint accents right here on his shoulders. The backpack looks pretty much perfect for that piece right there. You do see a little blue from the windshield shining through, but no problem for me whatsoever. Looking down, you do have paint apps right here. You have his hands. His hands look really cool. They open and close, but they're also a 5mm port at the same time. Looking at this, you do see some next level kind of Takara engineering right here, where the hip flap kind of hides itself, which that's awesome. We're seeing that in the main line. That's outstanding. Looking down below, not really much paint down below there. Really, overall, not a whole lot of paint. It's mostly just colored plastic, but it is the main line. It is a $30 price point, and it does look really good. So with all this, let's take a quick look at the articulation. So you got your head a little bit down, a little bit up, and kind of moves around like you would need it to. The shoulder goes out to the side, and you can do a 360. It is on a mushroom peg there. You do have swivel at the elbow. So it's the elbow swivel. And you don't have double, it's not double jointed at the elbow, but it still gets the job done. And of course, we already looked at the hands, which I think the hands are really awesome. I don't know if we're going to see more hands like this where you actually have movement in the fingers and you have the kind of semi 60% of a 5mm port, so it will hold without falling out very well. And so we've already looked at that. But you go to the 90 to the front, not 90 to the back though. You do have some sort of thigh rotation there, which is really cool the way they did that. And you do have 90 degrees, sort of almost 90. Well, I'm sorry, way past the 90. Almost a double jointed knee there, so that is double jointed, which is interesting with the knee. And you do have quite a bit of range with this whole ankle tilts, ankle movement. Looks really good. He's got quite a bit of posability. I like what they've done with this guy. Looking at his accessories, he can dual wield his guns and he can dual wield some blast effect accessories. That looks really good. Let's look at what he can do with all of the rest of the accessories.
Now, light our darkest hour.
I do think this is the #1 reason that they have his hands so much articulation, because he's opening the matrix here. It looks good, like he can hold the matrix and he can open the matrix. So really awesome right there. And he has his saw. You need to open up his arm, rotate the hand around, and you'll get a little peg to put this on. So that's super next level. Really love that. Are you wondering, well, can you do it on both hands? No, you can only do it on the one hand because this hand over here, you do that and you get the little repair tool. So he's all tooled up and ready to do some cutting and repairing. And if you want, you can store a gun and the saw on the back, kind of have some more weapon storage if that's something that you want.
What? Decepticons!
One more really awesome feature with this guy is you can open up his head and bring out his visor, like so. And that is cool. That is awesome. I can't believe we're getting that in a mainline release. Outstanding. Getting into some quick comparisons here, I do want to point out that he is pretty small, and this is a deluxe from the 30th anniversary, old school deluxe. This is a modern deluxe, and now probably on the big side, probably the biggest of the deluxe figures. But when you look at him, you could say that was 20 and this was 30. Well, you do kind of see that they did eliminate sort of the gaps that you see in some of those. So there's that. But there's no opening gaps. It's all sealed off. So it looks really good from the back there. And I thought that this one looks pretty clean overall, aside from the backpack. So here he is next to essentially a Voyager scale. Now this was the Earthrise version of Prime. This is leader class, but he's Voyager scale, and they did sell a Prime the exact same size in Voyager. Anyway, you're not paying for the size. What you're paying for is the engineering, all of the gap filling, all of the stuff that went into this guy, and I think he's very, very well worth the $30 price point. I'm really impressed with how they've done it, and I really do think these two look together, they look really good together. And here he is next to an old beat-up G1 figure. Hey, he's the same height, but look at the proportions. So here he is next to the Titan Returns version, which had a Headmaster gimmick and all that stuff. But this, at the time the Titan Returns one came out, I literally just gave it a pass. I said, that's as good as Hasbro can do for a mainline. And no, that probably is as good as Hasbro can do. But this is Takara. Takara's name is on the box. Takara is doing some really good stuff along with Hasbro. So I'm really impressed with this one over this one. We had another one in the middle from the Power of the Primes that's not that great. But this is the best, most definitive version for the mainline so far. So people keep asking me why I compare mainline stuff to Masterpiece. The reason I compare mainline stuff to Masterpiece is because the gap is narrowing between mainline and Masterpiece when it comes to aesthetic, when it comes to, well, pretty much hitting the tune. And I have to admit that Takara did better on the mainline version aesthetically than they did on this guy here for the Masterpiece. I really was never impressed with the Masterpiece Hot Rod in the bot mode. I always thought it was lacking. I do like Hoodlum way better than this guy, but I have to admit, if they KO upscaled this guy to be this size here, it would be vastly superior, and if you're using him in your Masterpiece and they upscaled him, it would be a no-brainer to switch. Next, I want to kind of show the background that they include. I think it's cool. I don't know if I'd ever use it. I don't know if I would string these together and put a few together, but it is a nice looking background. It is cardboard. It is painted cardboard. Looks like he's inside of Unicron. That works for me. It looks good. As for just box art is kind of the way I view it, but you could pull this out and you could make somewhat of a scene in here. Could display 2, maybe get away with 3 figures in this scene. I think that's kind of interesting, that's kind of cool, and it's an extra added throw in that doesn't really cost you anything. So this has been Hasbro and Takara's joint effort of making a Studio Series Hot Rod, and it is the best Hot Rod they've ever put out. I have to admit, this is really a good figure for the main line. For what they accomplished with this figure, I'm highly impressed. I'm looking forward to all of the other Studio Series 86 figures that they put out. I'm looking forward to even the Kingdoms that they put out. I'm really excited about the mainline. Haven't really been super excited about the mainline in some time. This figure makes me more excited for the mainline than I've been in quite a while. So looking forward to all of that. I'm starting to wonder, is this what Takara is talking about when they say hybrid masterpiece? Is this their hybrid masterpiece, or is that a whole other thing coming? We'll find out in the future, I guess. Like, subscribe, Todd Deere Maker out.
Who are you?
Him wheeling. Him friend.
He'll be mine too if he can find a ship. Where's Galvatron? Where is he? Till all are one!